All right, let's just dive right in, shall we? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into the sandbox to uncover something that literally every single one of us does, but we rarely ever stop to really think about it. We're talking about play. Over the next few minutes, we are going to explore the art and science behind why we play, and then we're going to take a really fascinating turn to look at the surprising societal systems that determine who actually gets to do it. It's this incredible journey from our ancient biology all the way into the complex structures of our modern society, and we're drawing it all from the Phi Theta Kappa Honors Program Guide. So grab a seat, get comfortable, and let's get started.
To kick things off, let's look at a single, honestly kind of intimidating number, 4,000. So author Oliver Burkeman writes about this concept he calls finitude. And finitude is exactly what it sounds like. It means we have limited time and, importantly, limited control over that time. According to Burkeman's math, if you live to be 80 years old, you get exactly 4,000 weeks. That is it. That is your entire budget to work, to play, and to create any kind of meaning in your life. It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Because when we realize our time is finite like that, suddenly how we choose to spend those 4,000 weeks becomes the single most important question we can ask ourselves.
And because our time is on a ticking clock, taking the time to actually stop and play isn't just about, having fun on a weekend. It's actually a vital, absolutely crucial strategy to counteract the crazy fast-moving nature of contemporary life. Play is designed to shake us completely out of our daily complacency. As the ancient philosopher Chuang suggests through his parables, playing and wandering actually place us right into the greater gameplay of the universe. It literally forces us to stop, look around, and embrace our limited time. Which brings us right into Dr. Susan Edwards' core essay, The Art and Science of Play. Dr. Edwards makes a super compelling case here. She argues that play is absolutely not just some childhood luxury that we're supposed to outgrow the minute we get jobs and start paying taxes. No way. It is actually an artistic and biological magic trick. It's this fascinating mix of being both completely innate and something we learn. Play is an essential pillar of the human experience that ties directly into our physical development, our personal philosophy, and, believe it or not, even how we conduct complex scientific research. To really give this concept the philosophical weight it deserves, we can look back thousands of years to the Greek philosopher Aristotle, who famously noted that humans are by nature social animals. And you know what? That ancient observation is absolutely backed up by modern biology. Our brains literally crave social connection. When we share the experience of play with someone else, our bodies get flooded with endorphins. It's an ancient biological imperative hardwired into us, designed to keep us connected to the pack and functioning at our absolute best. Dr. Stuart Brown, who is a physician and actually founded the National Institute for Play, points out that play is pre-conscious and pre-verbal. This means it arises out of ancient biological structures in our brains that existed long before humans could even speak. He breaks the concept of play down into 7 specific properties. First, it's done for its own sake, meaning there's no immediate survival value to it. Second, it's strictly voluntary. Third, obviously, it's fun. Fourth, it provides total freedom from time. You know that feeling when you're just so completely engaged in a hobby that hours literally fly by in what feels like minutes? Fifth, it totally diminishes our self-consciousness. Sixth, it offers huge potential for improvisation. And finally, once we start, we have this deep, deep desire to just keep on playing.
So the kicker here is that this profound biological need doesn't just mysteriously vanish the day you turn 18. Whether you're practicing Tai Chi in a local park or just intensely focused on beating a high score in an arcade game, play remains completely essential for adults. Editor and author Kate Sullivan argues there are hard scientific reasons adults urgently need to play more. Remember those endorphins we just talked about? Well, they actively counteract cortisol, the stress hormone. So playing directly reduces our stress, increases our baseline energy, boosts brain function, and even promotes better sleep. It builds trust, it fosters better relationships, and it massively increases our creativity. For the modern adult, play is quite literally medicine.
So let's shift gears now into Theme 3, Systems of Play. We've spent time establishing the pure biological joy of the sandbox, but we don't play in a vacuum, do we? We live in a highly complex society, and this brings us to a crucial, really perspective-shifting prompt developed by Drs. Inhai Peterson and Johanna B. Williams. They ask, in what ways do one's role, identity, and access influence the experience of play? Think about it. If play is a universal biological need, does everyone have the exact same opportunity to actually do it? How do the roles we are assigned, the identities we hold, and the access we are granted by society dictate whether or not we get to experience those amazing endorphin-boosting benefits? This question is our doorway into the invisible structures all around us.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at a pretty stark contrast. On one side of the coin, we have everything we just established, this undeniable universal biological necessity for play. But on the exact opposite side, we have the 2019 sociological findings from author S. Ferguson. Ferguson's work dives deep into how social inequalities and our societal identities often stand in direct opposition to that very biological need. Basically, society has systems in place, and those systems can, and very often do, heavily restrict a person's fundamental human right to play.
Ferguson's research impartially outlines how various social statuses, specifically looking at race, gender, sexuality, and social class, intersect with one another. Now, these intersecting dimensions aren't just abstract labels on a census form, they actively produce real-world social inequalities. And in the context of what we're talking about today, these dimensions dictate who actually gets access to the playground. They dictate who has the physical safety, the free time, the financial means, and the societal permission to freely engage in the act of play without worry.
Which leads us to the core, undeniable conclusion of that sociological research. Statuses shape our life chances. Because these intersecting identities form the absolute foundation of our societal roles, the freedom and the resources to play just are not equally distributed across the population. So while your ancient biological brain is completely hardwired to need play to fight off that cortisol and build social trust, the modern systemic realities of your class or your gender might heavily restrict your ability to do so. It is this really profound, sometimes frustrating tension between our biology on the inside and our sociology on the outside.
Moving right along to our final section. Ready, player, everyone? So, where exactly does all of this leave us? Knowing that these societal constraints absolutely exist, but also knowing that our biological mandate to play simply cannot be ignored, how do we navigate this? Well, Dr. Stuart Brown offers some incredibly practical advice for us as individuals, outlining steps we can take to intentionally foster playfulness in our daily lives. First, he says to just open yourself to play and, this is key, allow yourself to be a beginner. Look at the world with a fresh perspective, completely dropping the fear of failure. Second, develop an active lifestyle and pursue interests that are genuinely fun for you, done strictly for their own sake. And finally, actively cultivate activities and relationships with people who truly nourish your soul. We have to intentionally carve out these spaces for ourselves to counteract the heavy, demanding nature of the world.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. We've explored the biological magic of play, and we've squarely faced the systemic inequalities that unfortunately gatekeep it. So the challenge I want to leave you with is this. How will you intentionally cultivate your own joy and keep playing, while simultaneously keeping a critical, mindful eye on the systems that govern who else gets access to the playground? It's really all about securing your own 4,000 weeks while advocating for the time and joy of others. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope it sparks some serious, or actually scratch that, some extremely playful curiosity in your day. Catch you next time.